meeting. Please note, no presenter shall speak disrespectful of council, staff, or a member of the general public. The use of offensive or profane language will not be tolerated. Any breach of this guideline may result in the presenter being asked to leave the leave the room at the discretion of the chair. Un service d'interprétation simultanée durant une réunion. Vous avez le droit de parler dans la langue officielle de votre choix. Les casques d'écoute servent à la traduction sont disponibles. Ces réunions sont diffusées en français et en anglais sur la plateforme YouTube. Les réunions sont également diffusées sur l'Internet à moncton.ca. Si vous vous êtes inscrit auprès du bureau de la greffière avant la date limite, c'est-à-dire 7 jours avant la séance, vous aurez 5 minutes pour effectuer votre présentation. Toute autre présentation du public aura droit à 2 minutes. Une cloche sonnera pour vous indiquer qu'il ne vous reste qu'une minute. S'il vous plaît, notez, aucun présentateur ne devra manquer de respect lorsqu'il parlera du conseil, d'un membre du personnel ou du grand public. Le langage spasmatoire et les propos offensants ne seront pas tolérés. Le président ou la présidente pourra demander à tout présentateur qui enfreint cette directive de quitter la salle du conseil.
Merci, Madame la greffière. Est-ce qu'il y a des changements?
We have two-minute presentations, one by Laurie Hébert on Broussard, Au Beau Soleil Broussard, and Kristen Cabocane on the appointment process to committees. And also one under 12.3, the resolution for public hearing rezoning matters. Council has a hard copy on their desks.
Terrific. With that, I would take a motion to accept the agenda. Thank you, Councillor Richard. Is there a seconder? Councillor Legier. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
The next is conflict of interest. Sorry.
Are there any conflicts of interest this evening? I do not see any. I think we're good.
Okay, there is no consent agenda. And next is public administration presentations, les exposés du public et de l'administration. Le premier ce soir, c'est un projet de cohabitation de l'Université de Moncton. Et Véronique est-elle ici? Oui.
Bonsoir, Véronique, et bienvenue.
Maintenant, il y a un piton de pesée. Parfait, merci. Merci de m'accueillir ici pour mon 5 minutes. Je voulais vous présenter quelques résultats préliminaires de l'étude sur le sentiment d'insécurité à Moncton. Donc, je vous ai mis un titre qui est peut-être pas très excitant, mais qu'on aurait pu renommer « Comment se distribuent certains problèmes criminels comme les vols dans la ville, comment la perception de la criminalité se diffuse-t-elle parmi les résidents, quel est le lien avec la peur du crime et comment la peur de la criminalité se manifeste-t-elle dans différents quartiers de Moncton. » Donc, je vais effleurer ces questions dans le temps imparti. On peut aller à la prochaine diapositive, un peu de contexte pour qu'on soit à la même page. Je ne sais pas qui peut... peser sur le piton. C'est moi-même? C'est moi-même. Peut-être. Oui, parfait. Donc, il y a certaines catégories de personnes qui sont plus craintives de la criminalité que d'autres. Les études le démontrent. On a les femmes, les personnes âgées, les minorités visibles et certains groupes socio-économiquement défavorisés. Mais il y a d'autres facteurs qui contribuent également à avoir des craintes plus importantes du crime. On a la victimisation répétée quand on est victime de crimes plusieurs fois dans le temps. Ça inclut aussi lorsqu'on n'est pas directement victime, c'est-à-dire lorsque les médias parlent de crimes ou lorsque notre entourage nous parle de crimes qu'ils ont subis. Il y a les espaces qui sont considérés comme dangereux. Dans une ville, ça dépend de la perception de l'ensemble des habitants. Et lorsque les gens perçoivent qu'il y a une hausse de criminalité, qu'elle soit vraie ou fausse, leur peur augmente de manière disproportionnée par rapport au taux réel. Donc, mon point, c'est qu'il faut s'intéresser à la peur du crime parce que ça, d'une part, ça affecte la capacité des gens à estimer leur propre risque de victimisation, donc à quel point ils sont à risque de subir directement un crime, mais ça affecte aussi leur bien-être. Et là, je ne sais plus comment peser sur le piton. Aujourd'hui, je vais vous présenter des résultats préliminaires d'un sous-objectif du projet qui va apparaître bientôt. Le premier, donc là, je pèse à répétition sur le Python. Je vous en parle. Je veux pas peser trop souvent, j'ai peur que
Next
ça...
slide, please.
Ah oui. Donc, on a plusieurs objectifs dans le projet de recherche. Donc, je vais focaliser sur le premier sous-objectif où on a exploré à quel point la criminalité connue ou réelle concorde ou ne concorde pas avec la criminalité qui est perçue. Donc, je vais présenter certains résultats d'un sondage qu'on a passé à Moncton auprès des personnes qui résident, travaillent ou étudient. On a passé le sondage en 2022 et la question principale était, on va vous poser des questions sur des zones qui vous rendent le plus insécure. Donc, on a commencé par sélectionner la zone qui vous préoccupe le plus. Et on a posé plein de questions sur cette zone-là en particulier, mais les gens pouvaient sélectionner jusqu'à 3 zones, ce qui nous donne énormément d'informations sur les personnes qui ont participé à l'étude et sur les zones qu'elles ont sélectionnées. Parfait. Un premier constat, là, j'aimerais ça vous montrer des cartes, mais c'est qu'en général, les répondants de notre sondage ont une vision assez pessimiste, assez négative de la criminalité à Moncton. C'est assez unanime. Il y a une hausse perçue du crime et la majorité des répondants pensent que le crime a augmenté au cours des 5 dernières années et dans le futur, le crime va augmenter dans les 5 dernières années. Donc, c'est ce qui ressort. À partir de cette vision pessimiste-là, on a voulu comparer à quel point les niveaux de peur en général concordent avec les perceptions de la criminalité. Donc, quand on interroge individuellement les gens, il y a des valeurs extrêmes. C'est ce qu'on voit dans les boîtes à moustaches à droite. Il y a des gens qui ont très, très peur. Il y a des gens qui pensent que les problèmes criminels sont très, très, très importants. En général, les gens ont entre un peu peur et assez peur, mais la perception de la criminalité a tendance à être plus importante que la peur. Par contre, lorsqu'on regroupe les avis des personnes au territoire qu'ils ont sélectionné, donc c'est comme si on interrogeait des endroits, ce qu'on remarque, c'est qu'il y a moins de valeurs extrêmes. Donc, les gens qui ont vraiment, vraiment peur ou pas peur du tout, en fait, ils influencent moins la tendance. Donc, c'est intéressant, justement, d'aller voir, mais quand on rassemble les avis de tout le monde qui parlent de différents endroits dans la ville, comment est-ce qu'on peut identifier des tendances lourdes en matière de peur ou de victimisation? Et c'est ce qu'on a fait. Donc, là, mon temps est tout confus, donc vous m'interromprez quand on sera rendu là. À gauche, on a une carte de toutes les zones qui ont été dessinées par les répondants de notre sondage. On a plus de 500 zones qui ont été tracées. En soi, ça ne dit pas grand-chose. On voit un paquet de formes, de différentes formes, des polygones de différentes formes superposés. On voit que le cœur de la ville est plus foncé. En soi, c'était juste pour l'image. Quand on associe chacun de ces polygones-là à des blocs, c'est ce qu'on voit à droite, là, on peut justement créer des endroits qui recoupent plusieurs avis en même temps. Ce qui est intéressant, c'est que les répondants, parfois, ont tracé des très grandes zones. Ils ont sélectionné la ville au complet. Donc là, on peut pas beaucoup mettre en lumière de résultats, mais la grande majorité des répondants ont sélectionné des zones de la grandeur du parc Centenaire. Donc ça nous permet d'identifier justement des zones où on peut intervenir. Il me reste 1 minute, fait que je vais juste passer 3 cartes qu'on a fait. La première carte, ici, on a la distribution des gens qui déclarent avoir été victimes de vol. Donc, directement, ceux qui disent « j'ai été volé », soit un vol personnel, soit un cambriolage, soit un vol de voiture. J'ai décidé d'appeler cette zone où il y en a davantage la zone croissant. La zone va revenir si vous avez des questions. La deuxième carte, c'est la victimisation indirecte. Donc, plus la couleur rouge est foncée, plus le répondant connaît des personnes qui ont été victimes de vol. Et ce que je veux faire ressortir, c'est que la zone croissant, elle est encore là et elle prend plus de place. Elle grossit. Il y a un certain effet d'étalement. Donc, ce que ça nous indique, c'est que c'est intéressant de regarder les gens qui ont été victimes de vol, où est-ce qu'ils sont plus nombreux ou plus concentrés. Mais les victimes indirectes aussi sont intéressantes parce que il y a un effet de ces deux formes de victimisation sur la peur du crime, et c'est la troisième carte. La zone croissant est toujours là. Les niveaux les plus élevés de peur sur le territoire se trouvent dans la zone croissant. Il y a une deuxième zone avec un niveau de peur élevé qui est un peu plus au nord de la ville. Ce qu'on postule comme hypothèse, c'est qu'il y a d'autres facteurs que la victimisation qui peut influencer pourquoi cette zone-là ressort également. Combien de secondes il me reste? Aucune. En tout cas.
Vraiment aucune.
Des fois, c'est ça que c'est. Là. On prend vos questions.
Excellent. La conseillère Thériault.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Merci à vous pour la présentation. Merci à l'Université de Moncton aussi. Donc, c'est vraiment quelque chose de nouveau pour nous, toute cette perception de peur, de la criminalité. Et j'ai souvent, justement, rencontré des gens qui sont terrorisés, mais c'est évident que lorsqu'on leur pose des questions à savoir c'est quoi exactement, mais la personne avait l'air, la personne ressemblait. Donc, mais il n'y avait rien de concret. Donc, j'aime beaucoup le fait que vous avez identifié les zones. Est-ce que vous travaillez avec la GRC ou vous allez travailler, comment est-ce qu'on se parle? C'est quoi les suivis dans tout ceci?
Ça fait 3 ans qu'on essaie de leur parler, mais c'est très difficile. Il n'y a pas eu de conversation là-dessus.
Il n'y a pas eu de...
Il n'y a eu aucune conversation sur les résultats du projet de recherche.
Donc, en tout cas, c'est excellent. Merci. Hein. C'est une bonne première étape. Merci.
Le conseiller Légère.
Merci beaucoup, Véronique. Je me pose juste la question maintenant. Ceci, ça a été fait en 2022, n'est-ce pas? Donc, allez-vous, par exemple, continuer à répéter, par exemple, le sondage et voir si les choses ont changé? Parce qu'on a fait beaucoup d'investissements depuis. Il y a eu beaucoup de changements, malgré qu'il y a aussi beaucoup... on a vu les défis augmenter au niveau d'itinérance et ces choses-là. Donc, est-ce que c'est quelque chose que vous allez continuer?
Je ne sais pas. Cette étude-là, c'est un peu un proof of concept qu'on voulait faire. On n'était pas, l'équipe de recherche, là, mes collègues et moi, on n'était pas satisfaite de ce qui était disponible comme données, comme information vis-à-vis la criminalité et les désordres à Moncton. Fait qu'on s'est dit, on va essayer de faire quelque chose nous-mêmes. Puis si c'est intéressant, ben au moins, ça va exister et peut-être que ça va inspirer des actions concrètes. Moi, je suis très ouverte à faire don de mon questionnaire à quelconque organisation ou à la ville de Moncton, en fait. Si y aurait moyen d'adapter le questionnaire à la plateforme Jason Moncton, par exemple. Mais pour l'instant, notre financement pour ce projet-là est fini, fait que là, il faudrait repartir. Je ne sais pas à quel point les collègues et moi, on est motivés à poursuivre l'aventure si on est toutes seules à s'intéresser à ces résultats-là. Là.
Avec cette information, ça vous amène ou ça nous amènerait où en termes de est-ce que c'est pour plutôt faire une évaluation continuelle sur disons l'efficacité de notre force policière ou bien l'efficacité de livrer des services dans notre communauté? C'est quoi exactement ce qui nous amènerait à réellement vouloir disons, vous donner du support que vous avez besoin et peut-être même commencer la conversation entre la GRC et est-ce que ceci, c'est un peu, on entend souvent parler de open data et c'est un peu ça qui nous amènerait, par exemple, à réussir à voir les endroits ciblés, peut-être juste vos commentaires.
Oui, je pense que ça peut être utile pour la ville de Moncton en 2 parties. La première partie, c'est la partie victimisation. Il y a des gens qui déclarent avoir subi des crimes et ils n'ont pas rapporté les crimes à la police. Donc, ça peut offrir de l'information complémentaire par rapport à des zones qui pourraient faire l'objet de certains types de criminalité. on appelle ça le chiffre noir ou le chiffre obscur en criminologie. Donc, ce qui n'est pas signalé à la police, on se donnerait au moins les conditions de les inclure et de les utiliser pour identifier des zones et donner aux résidents une certaine capacité d'agir sur les problèmes criminels. Si, par exemple, quelqu'un habite dans une zone où est-ce qu'il y a des hauts taux de cambriolage ou des faibles taux d'un autre type de crime de voisinage, bien, la personne ne va pas agir de la même façon que si elle est dans une zone où il n'y a aucun crime. Donc, ça donne des outils aux citoyens, en fait, pour s'organiser. Et par la suite, bien, on peut voir, mais est-ce que ces initiatives-là, est-ce que ça fonctionne? Est-ce que ça règle un problème? Donc, il y a ça peut être complémentaire aux initiatives de quartier. Comme moi, je parle à mes voisins constamment. Quand on a des visiteurs non invités sur nos terrains, on se le dit entre nous et on se dit entre nous, ben, est-ce que tu t'es fait voler un truc? Donc, on s'organise, sauf qu'en ce moment, notre capacité de s'organiser, elle ne dépend que de nous. Donc, avoir une source d'information qui est collectée rigoureusement permettrait des outils un peu plus solides pour le faire. Le deuxième volet qui serait utile pour la ville de Moncton, c'est pas des crimes nécessairement, mais c'est tout ce qui est désordres physiques et sociaux. Donc, ça permet d'identifier des zones où il y a des besoins qui peuvent être comblés par différents départements de la ville. Je pense qu'il y a eu des initiatives d'embellissement de certains endroits à Moncton, de ramassage de déchets. Bien, ça peut contribuer à identifier ces zones-là et à voir si effectivement ça s'améliore dans le temps. Il y avait des questions qu'on posait aux personnes répondantes, à savoir si elles étaient satisfaites de leur vie, si elles étaient satisfaites par rapport à leur sécurité personnelle. Ben ça donne aussi des bons indices à savoir, mais est-ce que c'est le fun vivre à Moncton? Est-ce que les espaces publics sont agréables vis-à-vis ces désordres-là, par exemple? Donc, ça donne des outils qui sont qui sont rigoureux, qui peuvent être complémentaires à des témoignages collectés autrement. Fait que ce seraient les deux principales.
Merci.
Bon, ben merci. Je pense que ça vaudrait la peine de continuer une discussion, par exemple, avec la GRC. Je pense que moi, je vois des aspects qui seraient très avantageux pour la GRC. Donc, lorsque le surintendant vient nous parler ce soir, peut-être que je vais adresser la question, mais c'est sûr que je pense que ces partenariats ici seraient une façon aussi d'identifier nos succès, les changements, et puis nous amener peut-être à avoir, disons, en anglais on dit trends,
Oui.
qui peuvent se produire et puis avec laquelle on peut identifier à l'avance. Donc, je vous remercie et je pense que c'est probablement pour moi, de toute façon, ça devrait être un début. Donc, on va certainement poser la question et voir l'intérêt de la GRC. Et puis, je pense que c'est quelque chose qui serait positif. Donc, merci beaucoup.
Merci.
Merci, Madame la maire.
Merci. Le conseiller Bourgeois.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la maire. Merci
Est-ce
énormément,
que
Véronique.
est-ce que vous pouvez ouvrir votre caméra?
OK. Que ça marche?
Oui.
OK. Merci, Véronique et équipe. C'est superbe d'avoir des informations en public pour, je souhaite, guider notre action. J'ai juste une question. Non, mais avez-vous consulté le rapport de Perry Taylor sur les aspects de policiers potentiels avec l'année dernière?
Ici.
Est-ce qu'on m'entend?
We can, but it's very difficult with your, I guess, your camera on. Are you not close by? You must not have any bandwidth.
I'm pretty close. I don't need my video. Why do you need my video?
It just seems more human that way. But if
Does it work better without video? I don't
okay,
need video.
turn your video off so we can hear you.
Okay, this is better?
Oui.
OK, merci. Je recommence. Merci beaucoup, Véronique. Merci à ton équipe pour nous donner des données empiriques. Ça aidera, j'espère, à prendre des meilleures décisions. Mais ma première question, c'est est-ce que vous avez eu la chance de lire le rapport de Perryvale and Taylor sur les services de police à la ville de Moncton, publié il y a quasiment 2 ans maintenant?
Oui, j'en ai pris connaissance de ce rapport-là. Je m'en rappelle pas par cœur, là.
Non, c'est beau. Il y avait des cartes là aussi. Puis ça montrait ça montrait les endroits où il y avait le plus de criminalité, de vol, de différents types de crimes. Est-ce que ces données-là coïncident avec la perception? C'est-à-dire que est-ce que statistiquement c'est dans le centre-ville de Moncton et dans le Old West End surtout, un petit peu à Salisbury Road où on a la plus grande présence de crimes, d'incidents criminels. Est-ce que la perception des gens de ces régions-là est plus négative et plus grande par rapport à la peur de la criminalité, de se promener, etc.? Ou est-ce qu'il y a des régions qui, même s'il n'y avait pas beaucoup de crimes, ont perçu la criminalité de façon disproportionnée?
Là, je vais vous sortir une réponse universitaire, là. Ça dépend. Dans les cartes, je vous ferai remarquer que le centre-ville ne ressort jamais. Il y a une raison simple pour ça. Il n'y a pas grand monde qui habite au centre-ville. Puis on a surtout demandé à des résidents, des travailleurs et des étudiants. Donc, on a vraiment abordé la sécurité publique à Moncton comme milieu de vie. Mais effectivement, comme vous mentionnez, conseiller Bourgeois, il y a une zone à l'est du centre-ville qui ressort en ce qui a trait au vol. Je pourrais pas dire si c'est concordant avec le rapport de la firme. La source de données est complètement différente, mais effectivement, l'est du centre-ville correspond à la zone croissant. De mémoire, le rapport de Perryvale montrer un paquet de points. Puis je suis pas certaine qu'il différenciait ce qu'on appelle les crimes de voisinage versus des crimes en général, là. Il me semble qu'il y avait une carte de mémoire là, avec les vols ou les crimes contre la propriété, mais c'était tout ensemble, là. Il n'y avait pas de distinction entre un vol au Shoppers Drug Mart versus un vol dans un garage, là. Il me semble que c'était dans la même catégorie, sous toute réserve, là. Mais dans les faits, si quelqu'un vole un rouge à lèvres à la pharmacie, ça n'a pas le même impact sur la qualité de vie que si quelqu'un rentre dans le garage d'un résident, là. Donc, c'est pour ça que le sondage a quand même l'avantage de focaliser sur certains types de crimes, pas tous, mais qui affectent la qualité de vie de la communauté. Donc, je suis pas certaine que la firme faisait cette distinction-là. Et pour répondre à l'aspect, est-ce que ça marche avec les perceptions ou ça marche pas? Ce qui est intéressant, c'est qu'il y avait une question dans le sondage, où est-ce que vous percevez qu'il y a le plus de crimes là, vis-à-vis la zone? Puis, la ville au complet était en rouge. Donc, c'est comme si tout le monde pensait qu'il y avait des crimes très élevés partout. Et pour moi, effectivement, ça correspondait pas à où est-ce que les gens déclaraient avoir été victimes d'un crime ou à où est-ce que les gens connaissaient quelqu'un qui avait été victime d'un crime. Et puis, c'est un peu ça, l'argument ou la notion de pourquoi c'est important de donner la capacité d'agir aux Monctoniennes et aux Monctoniens. Si on leur donne l'information, notamment avec un portail d'open data, bien, ils sont à même de comparer leur situation à d'autres situations dans la ville ou à d'autres quartiers dans la ville. Et en ce moment, on n'a pas accès à cette information-là collectivement, autrement que dans les cartes que je viens de faire, là, qui ne sont pas parfaites en passant, qui ne sont pas parfaites. Et ça peut certainement jouer sur les perceptions et contribuer possiblement à cette vision pessimiste-là de la ville, qui est, quant à moi, qui est injuste parce que, je veux dire, moi, j'adore Moncton. Je pense pas que Moncton, c'est une ville dangereuse, là, surtout si on la compare à d'autres villes au Canada. Je fais faire l'exercice à mes étudiants dans le cours d'analyse criminologique, puis ils voient bien que ça n'a rien à voir, là. Donc, voilà, j'espère que ça a répondu à votre question.
Oui, et j'en profite pour encore une fois vous remercier, mais aussi de vous demander est-ce qu'on pourrait recevoir une copie de l'article éventuel de publication qui va être le résultat final de votre démarche.
Oui, tout à fait. Je ne l'ai pas écrit encore, là. Moi, je commençais par des petits résultats préliminaires, mais on veut certainement écrire un article qui justement tenterait d'expliquer la différence entre les zones où il y a beaucoup de victimisation directe, où les gens sont beaucoup victimes de vol, versus les zones où les gens sont victimes indirectement, mais qu'ils en ont entendu parler, puis que ça a un impact de toute évidence.
Merci beaucoup. Merci, Madame la maire.
Le conseiller Kingston.
Merci, Mme Maris. Merci, Véronique. C'est inquiétant que les citoyennes de Moncton ne contactent pas le GRC. C'est souvent que le GRC demande que nos citoyens et citoyennes font l'effort de contacter le GRC. Vous m'entendez?
Oui.
Et Véronique, je me demandais si vos recherches sur les conclusions des citoyens et citoyennes font une association directe avec le monde sans abri ou du monde sans abri. Ils font-ils la connectivité entre ces deux domaines-là?
Au printemps, mes collègues et moi, on a présenté en Belgique des cartes sur les désordres sociaux et ça inclut la présence de personnes en situation d'itinérance, mais ça inclut aussi des gens, la mendicité, ça inclut toutes sortes de choses, des gens qui consomment, etc. Ça, c'est dans la catégorie désordres sociaux. Et ce qui est intéressant, c'est que dans le discours, dans les réponses longues, dans certaines entrevues qu'on a faites, parce que ça, c'est d'autres volets du projet que je vous ai pas présenté aujourd'hui, parfois, il y a certains amalgames entre les désordres sociaux et la présence de certains autres problèmes. Sauf que ce qui est intéressant, c'est que quand on cartographie ces désordres sociaux-là ou la perception de problèmes de drogue, de vente de drogue, par exemple, ça concorde pas nécessairement.
La perception est partout, hein, dans ces études.
Oui, puis il y a beaucoup de concepts qui se mélangent. Donc, de justement se donner les moyens de jauger les deux. Donc, voir dans le discours comment est-ce que certains mots se mélangent, mais ensuite voir, quand on les prend séparément, est-ce que ça se mélange tant que ça? Le fait que le centre-ville ne ressort pas du tout, c'est intéressant. Dans notre cadre de désordres sociaux, en passant, qu'on a présenté en Belgique, le centre-ville, c'était pas unanime que c'était là que ça se passait, là. Donc, prendre différents points de vue ou différentes mesures, mais ça nous permet de mettre un petit peu de nuance, puis de faire ressortir peut-être des zones où les problèmes sont plus concentrés, puis que ça se perd pas dans un nuage d'un petit peu de tout, là.
Ouais, c'est beau. Véronique, merci beaucoup de ton équipe aussi, et merci, Mme Maris. Thank you very much. Merci.
Merci beaucoup. La conseillère Leblanc.
Oui, merci, Madame la mairesse. Et oui, bienvenue, Véronique. Oui, je sais que vous avez fait un projet avec les étudiants. J'étais étudiante dans son cours. Et puis, pour le vol de vélo, est-ce qu'il y a quelque chose là aussi? Parce qu'il y a beaucoup de vols de vélo dans la région. Est-ce qu'il
Oui, mais en fait, la première carte, ça inclut tous les types de vols. Donc, ça peut inclure les vols de vélo. Dans les réponses longues, là, des fois, on offrait l'opportunité aux gens de s'expliquer, là, parce que juste cocher des coches dans un questionnaire, c'est pas toujours la solution magique, là. Fait qu'il y en a qui voulaient plus s'exprimer là-dessus. Il y en a qui parlaient des vols de vélo. Dans mon cours, c'était un petit projet pratique. Moi, j'aime ça donner des vraies questions à mes étudiants. Donc, il y avait la partie diagnostic où ça a été très difficile pour eux d'avoir un portrait des vols parce que l'information, elle n'est pas disponible au public. Donc, on ne sait pas où intervenir, à quel point ça touche qui. Est-ce que tout le monde rapporte son vol de vélo? Il y en a qui se donnent même pas la peine pour différentes raisons qui leur appartiennent. Puis, au niveau des solutions, ben, c'était intéressant. Il y a des équipes qui ont pensé un peu à l'extérieur de la boîte, donc qui se sont questionnées sur ben, quand on a un vélo à Moncton, où est-ce qu'on peut le stationner? Où est-ce qu'on peut l'entreposer? Est-ce que cet entreposage-là, il est sécuritaire? Comment est-ce qu'on pourrait améliorer l'entreposage? Est-ce que les compagnies peuvent contribuer à ça pour leurs employés? Donc, ça a donné lieu à toutes sortes de discussions plaisantes, mais qui ne sont pas sorties de la classe apparemment.
Bon. Merci.
Merci.
Le conseiller Crossman. Peut-être partager avec le...
So, Mussy, a couple of my questions were already asked. One was the final report that's coming forward. So you say that will be with time, you'll provide the final report?
Est-ce qu'on va produire un rapport final? Ben, il n'y a personne qui nous l'a demandé. Habituellement, ce qu'on fait, c'est que quand on fait des analyses, on veut écrire des articles pour diffuser nos résultats. Moi, j'aime bien partager mes articles aux institutions là, quand elles sont curieuses. Donc, quand est-ce qu'on va sortir un article? Ça, c'est vraiment une excellente question. Il y a plein de choses hors de notre contrôle. Comme cet été, on a été chanceuse, l'équipe de recherche, on avait une étudiante du Royaume-Uni qui nous a beaucoup aidé à faire les cartes, Maisie Dillon, mais elle a terminé son stage, elle est repartie. Donc, on avance avec très peu de moyens. Donc, je pourrais pas donner d'échéance. J'aurais peur de décevoir. Fait qu'on avance comme on peut. Mais étant donné que c'est pas une commande, on y va un peu quand on a le temps. Ben là, on avait le temps. Okay. Au moins.
No, I think it's a great project, and I think it's a great opportunity for the city of Moncton to work with UDM and get in and make sure that we have a partnership and we get a third-party input that's independently studied, right? So to me, that's very important because the crime that's going on throughout Moncton, such as open-air drug use, theft that you talk about, it's somewhat in this report showing the areas. So I think that's key for people to really look at and say, how far down the road are we? And have we gone too far? Has this process on homelessness, on drug addiction, how far down are we? Should we be able to recoup some of that and focus on certain areas to address the concerns within those areas? So I'd be really interested in that nice relationship that we can have going with UDM and the city of Moncton so that we can get your voice and your expertise on this as well. Thank you.
Merci. Est-ce qu'il y a d'autres questions? Non? Merci beaucoup, Véronique. À la prochaine chapitre.
The next public presentation is a 5-minute presentation from Robert McKay, a tenant or tenant's perspective on transition of ownership at Sunset Hotel.
So I wanted to come here with a perspective, and sometimes I was thrown on and I forget what I just forget what I asked. So I was asked it first. sometime in the near future, I'd like to be with a counselor or counselor and staffer or staffer to discuss problems that have occurring, and whether that would help.
Oh, that's much better. Should we start over? Let's start over. So we got it all on the record. So I'd like to be meeting in the near future with a counselor or counselors plus a staffer or staffers in regards to things that I've experienced. I've seen it around. We talk about homeless and stuff. I've experienced it in the building that I now live in. And I'd like to discuss problems that have been occurred by the people that are supposed to be trying to help people in a building. And I'd like to discuss a Canadian university that wants to help us to help be a partner in solving some of these social issues that we have, but in a different way, a unique kind of a strange way. That is participatory action research, which actually includes the people as partners who we thought were just the problem, and we're just out there trying to solve the problem for them and without having them involved. So that's my ask here at the end of it. Presentation's not too polished. It's kind of a weird little thing because I spent the last 2.5 hours in court in support of a Sunset Hotel resident or maybe an evictee. I'm not sure which. And so I'm just gonna, I didn't get it quite as polished, so we'll just go from there. I'm dealing with a range of emotions as I stand here in front of you. Gratitude, desperate fatigue, disempowerment, hopelessness, futility, but also hopefulness a little bit, a ray of light, if you will. But I'm also dealing with something that I think is a righteous anger, bordering on rage. And make sure your gun is holstered there, sir. I try to channel my rage, and that's when there's social problems, that's how you fix them, is justifiable righteous anger. And I'm basically right now, I'm recovering from what I call a near nervous breakdown by interacting with the nonprofit organization, partnering with NB Housing, the organization that I thought was there to help us. And they are helping some people. They're getting everybody out of the building and putting them into subsidized housing and such like that. So there's a lot of good that's going, but they don't tell us a damn thing. And what's the plan? So the city was lobbied and helped in magnifying the lobbying to the province to ensure that the iconic Sunset Hotel rooming house and its residents did not get harmed during the sale of the building. The province purchased the building. The presentation would like to make the public and council aware of some negative consequences and harms to tenants in an effort to help them. Research says that much better results would ensue if tenants had been consulted as partners before, during, after. We've had none of that from anybody. And so I would argue that the exact opposite approach was taken and is ongoing, that approach. The previous building agent had various meetings with various people, including a city councillor or maybe more than a city councillor. The draft of a document that went out to lobby for the province to buy it mentions peer support. It said that the building is an example of peer-supported housing. It said the Sunset exemplifies this model. However, it has a professionally trained peer support worker there since 2016. That would be myself. This peer support program was systematically destroyed by the nonprofit operator that is helping New Brunswick Housing to run the building. When you destroy something that has been built over years and builds social capital in people that they can help themselves and help each other interact with the people, the professional people that are supposed to be helping them, that's irreplaceable. And they did it with not a bit of respect. What's that mean?
Your time is up.
That's 5 minutes.
That was 5 minutes.
Well, in a way, that's really good because there's a lot of stuff here, and I was better that I not get into it. So I'd like to meet with, as I say, a counselor or two and a staffer or two, and in regards to the further details here.
Terrific. Thank you, Robert. I'm sure that can be arranged.
Okay, thank you very much.
The next are 2-minute presentations. The first is Laurie Hébert on Beausoleil-Broussard plaque. Monsieur Hébert.
Forgive my chair.
Ready this. Hello? Yep. I'm here concerning the plaque of Joseph Broussard de Beausoleil, recognized by Canada as a historical person. I have been developing the Beausoleil Village Historical Site at 2326 Salisbury Road for the past 5 years. The City Council has approved the Borough Park for the plaque to be located. The Borough Park has never had any Acadian ties. I'm also requesting the City of Moncton for the plaque to be on the trail behind the Press Club. This was a homestead of the brother-in-law of Beausoleil, Charles Thibodeau. This is city land. Is the Heritage Canada will be making the final decision where the plaque is going. So the city can have 20 locations approved. And Borough Park has no ties to the Acadian at all.
Excellent. Merci beaucoup. Thank you. Oh, it's Councillor Leblanc.
Oui. Bonjour. Merci, Madame la mairesse. Est-ce que vous avez une place préférée ou deux autres? Est-ce qu'il y a des zones que vous pensez que ça serait?
Well, the best place I would see would be behind the Press Club, because that was the homestead of Beausoleil's brother-in-law. The Badminos were there. The city has an opportunity to develop the river as a historical site. There's no, I did the research from Hillsborough to Salisbury. I can show you all the homesteads in the early, the first settlers. Moncton, I can show you exactly where the first settlers settled. They say it's at Halls Creek. No, it's between the bridge and the causeway, and I can actually show you the map showing exactly where the houses were. You're developing the downtown walkway, and you have a lot of opportunities to develop it, and you don't have the information to do it. I have the maps. I'm not one to, well, I'm going to say it's here or there or there. The maps are there. I've brought them with me if you want to see them. The opportunity is there. But I found you also have the only thing that survived the deportation in 1758. That's when the British came up and finished the Petitquodiac River. It was a mill that was survived. It's in the city of Moncton. It was been verified. I've had the archaeologist there 5 or 6 years ago, and we have the documents and the maps and everything showing exactly where it is. So you have, the city has a lot of great history, but it's not going nowhere.
Merci.
Terrific. Just for the record, Parks Canada will be making the choice of
Yes.
the final location.
Yes.
Councillor Thériault, or excuse me, Deputy Mayor, sorry. Go ahead.
Merci, Madame la maire. J'essaie de comprendre. Merci à vous d'être ici ce soir. Est-ce qu'il y a un problème, Parc Canada? Est-ce que c'est Parc Canada ou c'est nous qui voulons placer ça à Borough Park?
Well, someone came here to request the plaque to be approved at Borough Park. City Council approved it. Based on what, I don't know, but doing all my research on the Acadians, on the Petitquodiac River, there was no ties to it, and it's a shame to put a plaque in a place where the Acadians were never in. I'm just not doing the Acadians, I'm doing the inhabitants of the Petitquodiac River. My ancestor was James Charters, buried at the Free Meeting House. He's buried there before it was built. He's the first Irishman. He gave the first piece of land to Moncton for a school. Nobody knows that. The Irish don't even know who he is. Dieppe is Chartersville. That was James Charters.
Madame la maire, j'ai une question pour le personnel. Est-ce qu'on va s'assurer de travailler avec Parc Canada et s'assurer que la plaque est au bon endroit, vraiment le lieu des Acadiens? Donc, ça va... Oui.
Merci, merci Madame la maire adjointe. Oui, absolument, on va continuer à travailler avec Parc Canada pour assurer que l'endroit pour la plaque soit au bon endroit.
It's just not, it's different towns can put a request for the plaque. Marymount Cook could, Dieppe could. So it's not just Moncton that's going to get the plaque. It's just you make the site available to them so the Heritage Board can make a decision where it should be.
Perfect. Councillor Bourgeois.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la maire. La conseillère, la maire adjointe Thériault a posé ma question. Ça fait, je vais tout simplement remercier Monsieur Hébert pour son dévouement et son travail, les longues heures, pour valoriser le patrimoine acadien. Merci beaucoup, Laurie.
Thank you for, oh, sorry. Go ahead, Councillor Legier.
Oh, thanks, merci. I'm just wondering what the process is. It almost appeared, from what I remember, that Parks Canada was asking, and I could be wrong, but was asking for our recommendation on the location of the plaque. And so perhaps staff could meet with you and maybe take a look at the greater river area.
Yes.
And then have that conversation, because it seems that until now we've really not been involved other than what is the recommendation from staff. So perhaps through the city manager that maybe that could happen. And I do think, unless I'm wrong, I would think that Parks Canada would use the recommendation from the city as weighted in terms of their decision, but like you say, other municipalities could put their requests in as well. So I prefer
correct.
that we do it right. And
We do it right. I have all the maps, the documentation. It's not I fabricate a thing. The maps are there. It shows everything, the houses, the barns, where the Acadians returned after, the Abuetos. I've got it all. I found it most of it by accident, and people don't realize that these documents exist. I do have them. They're available to use the way you want.
so perhaps then Reserve Go Place and through the city manager that could get together, and then maybe we as council could get an update perhaps sooner than later, because this is, I understand.
Because you're doing the waterfront development, and I tried to reach the developer that was making the plan, and I never got a call back. And the information that I have regarding your waterfront, you could really have a lot of tourists here. There's a question of where the chapel was. That was the Acadian Chapel. I do have quite knowledgeable. I'm almost positive I can pinpoint exactly where it is, and that will be a great find for you, for tourists.
I'm going to ask our CAO to just weigh in here.
Merci, Madame la maire. Thank you for the question, Councillor Léger. So if we recall, the proposal was brought forward by Nation Prospère Acadienne, which we worked with on and brought that forward to council for decision. We accepted to display the plaque. Now we're working with Parks Canada on identifying the final location. One of the suggested areas was Boer Park. And again, we'll continue to work with Parks Canada, with Nation Prospère, and with other stakeholders to ensure that we have found the right area, the right spot to ensure that the plaque is properly displayed, and we'll bring that back to council.
Yes, I'm available to work with council at any time. Everything I have will be at your
Wonderful. Thank you.
Just one last, if I can, just one last thing. Merci beaucoup. Je pense que c'est important parce que ça nous aiderait à raconter l'histoire acadienne.
Yes,
Parce que s'il y a l'endroit où, où est la chapelle et d'autres choses, je pense que ça c'est important en termes de le futur et raconter l'histoire du passé. Donc, merci beaucoup.
Yeah, and I'm just not doing the Acadians. I'm doing the first settlers that came here, the first Irishmen. I have it's all there, the history of Moncton and the surrounding areas.
Thank you. Councillor Richard.
Merci, Madame la Maire. Thank you very much, Lori, for your presentation. Lots of good questions being asked. Looks like something should be moving with you in the conversation. We received this in our mailboxes. So,
yeah.
Council, there's a small booklet on some information. We don't make it to our mailboxes at City Hall every day. So
yeah.
I was lucky to make it in and pick that up. But I appreciate that. It's very high level, and I know that you'd have lots more information.
Yeah, there's a lot of information that I have. If it's gone to the public, the problem I face with is to release all these documents and maps is that soon as they realize there was a building there and there's a barn there, they're going to go there with metal detectors and they're going to ruin the artifacts. So it's how do we balance it? And I'm saying we should all get together and make sure we do the right decision. That's all I'm asking for from you.
And I'm thanking you for your concern and your help here.
Yeah.
Merci beaucoup.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for all your research. We appreciate it.
The final presentation this evening for 2 minutes is by Kristen Kavokian, appointment process to committees.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Bonjour, Madame la Maire, Messieurs et Mesdames les conseillers municipaux. Je m'appelle Kristen Kavokian, je suis politologue, je suis monctonienne et je vous critique régulièrement à la radio. We've seen a troubling trend in recent years at all levels of government, of elected officials taking a very cynical approach to public consultation and public engagement. Whether it's consulting the public after having made a decision in private, or whether it is stacking committees with members of the public who are most likely to defer to their authority. We've also seen citizens get rightly angry when they see that the process is neither fair nor transparent. This is a key moment in the life of our city when decisions about urban growth and development will reverberate for decades. So, on the rare occasions when the public is invited to apply for positions on committees, we want to know that appointments are made based on who is most qualified, that the decisions committees make are based on data, and that City Council is doing what is best for the city, not what is best for City Council. Now, as a municipal politics critic, it's also my job to give credit where credit is due. So I'm pleased to see that you've called a mulligan on your recent committee appointment vote and are revisiting the issue today in public. The fastest growing city in Canada deserves a city council that learns from its mistakes and commits to doing better. You have that opportunity today, and I look forward to seeing you take it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Professor Kavokian? I don't see any. Thank you.
The next are administration presentations, exposé de l'administration et la mise à jour de la GRC. Benoît Jolet, surintendant des services régionaux de Kodiak de la GRC.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mayor Arnold, councilors, city staff, and guests, members of the public that are here this evening. I was asked to present a condensed version of my report this evening. I'll do that. However, I'll provide a more robust report to council through the city clerk. Excuse me. First of all, regarding our community policing team, as you can imagine, we're extremely busy. Various community events over the summer, whether it was attending community barbecues with elected officials, meeting with new arrivals to Canada, children, launching our positive ticket campaign, or marching and assuring security at the Pride Parade a couple weeks ago. They've been extremely busy. What I'd like to mention to council and to residents of the Greater Moncton area is school is back in session, and our community policing team will be present, as well as our patrol members in various areas in and around schools. Whether it's doing the lockdown drills at the 38 schools that are in the Kodiak areas, and meeting with staff, or working with the community partners such as Bylaw and YMCA Reconnect in some of the troubled areas, specifically in downtown Moncton. So to parents, motorists, and children out there, just be safe, leave early, and watch for those big yellow buses on the roads. Next, regarding our crime reduction unit, who are constantly patrolling our area, whether they're in marked vehicles or unmarked vehicles, targeting individuals who are causing the most harm in the community. Just one example, while conducting open-air drug enforcement on August 15th, our team had located a priority offender in the Elmwood Drive area and proceeded to his arrest. The suspect vehicle was subsequently searched a few days later, where a very large amount of cocaine, fentanyl, crystal methamphetamine pills, and also cash was seized. Total value of the drugs seized just for this one was about $50,000 worth of illegal drugs. Investigations ongoing. However, that male was remanded into custody. There's various other types of these, and I'll let council review them at their leisure once I submit the report. What I'd like to focus on is the work from our general investigation section since we last reported to council regarding disturbing investigations of a sexual nature targeting children. On August 28th, our general investigation team was contacted by the Internet Child Enforcement Unit that works across New Brunswick regarding a hands-on offender who was distributing child pornography in the Kodiak area. Due to the severity of what was going on, we immediately deployed to a residence and rescued two children, very young in age, and took a female into custody. We asked our partners' help through the Department of Social Development for the children and maintained the investigation. That's ongoing, and multiple charges will be laid. That same team, the Internet Child Enforcement Unit, they were in our area that night for something the very next day. And again, on the 29th of August, Kodiak Patrol in our General Investigation Section initiated a search warrant at another residence for somebody who was involved in sexual crimes targeted towards children. A male was arrested at his residence and various electronic devices were seized, and that individual was taken into custody, and multiple charges are pending. And finally, another instance, we first got the information in July regarding an individual in our area that was communicating with a child in Western Canada. Through our investigation and in partnership with the Internet Child Exploitation Unit, we positively identified an individual in our area, and just this past September 10th, with the assistance of several support units, executed a search warrant in the West Main area, and a 40-year-old male was taken into custody and remanded into custody. So like I've mentioned before, these are very complex files that take a lot of work for our police officers and our partners. They're unimaginable for the victims, the families, but also for our police officers and our partners that deal with these types of files, whether you're a parent or not. So thank you very much for everybody that has helped us along the way in these files. And we're going to continue to put diligent and robust work on these. Finally, on September 3rd, I just want to mention this quick because we couldn't have done this without a member of the public. One of our patrol members was conducting a traffic stop on St. George near the detachment between Botsford and King. And it was just for a regular traffic offense. However, when the member started asking questions to the individual, he decided that it was a good idea to begin ramming the police vehicle and attempt to flee. We were lucky that no one was injured. We were able to disable the vehicle. However, the individual fled on foot, short foot pursuit, and our member was able to stop that individual. His female passenger attempted to steal the police vehicle. However, this is where I'd like to thank the public. There's an individual out there who came to our member's rescue who's by himself to prevent the female from taking the police vehicle until backup arrived. And then we were able to safely take her into custody. So I don't have the name, but that person knows who he is. So thank you very much for his help that day and for ensuring that no one was hurt. And just a quick mention just regarding YQM. It was in Dieppe, but as we all know, it spilled over into Moncton. On Saturday in particular, 27,000 people were there, and I think every single one ended up on Main Street in Moncton. Unfortunately, there was a lot of calls for service. No one was gravely hurt, but with our coordinated effort with our partners, the three-day event was a success, and just like to thank everybody for that. Thank you, Mayor Arnold.
Thank you, Superintendent Gillette. Councillor Richard, go ahead.
Merci, Madame la Maire. Merci, Superintendent Latit, de nous donner des updates. Same time that you were talking, I got an email about CRCOPA, Kodiak Regional Citizens on Patrol, and so there's some patrols coming up. There's training coming up next week, so I don't know if you were aware, but if public that's listening, they want to join, just look it up. Reason I pressed my button though, getting a lot of calls from the corner of Fairview Knoll and Hennessy. There's a four-way stop. People are flying through. I know there's situations like this throughout the city, so I'm just bringing this one up. I mentioned I went by on Purdy, saw a raised intersection. Looks like it's controlling a bit of that intersection, and I don't know if staff would be able to look at that eventually. But it's a corner that traffic's going through fast, and that four-way stop, even if we put red lights on top of them, somehow they don't see it. The first week of school, actually witnessed a vehicle go straight through the red light, new set of lights at the corner of McLaughlin and Hennessy. On the side on McLaughlin, there was a little girl with her bicycle, her mom, her lunchbox, walking to school. If she would have, had the idea to go across the street, well, we'd be having a different conversation. So just want to bring that up. And if the public are listening, I just brought that up to the RCMP. So if you want to keep an eye on those areas, not only you, but the public as well, RCMP are now aware. So.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Shaw. Just to that note, it's important, as I believe it's Councillor Leja who mentioned earlier, is that the public needs to call us. They need to call us when they see these things happening, obviously, because there is thousands of intersections, and hundreds of crosswalks and all these different areas. And we need to know about these things to report it to us and also to the city, because there's things that the city can do. We've had good relationships with the city, whether it's traffic calming type of locations, because we also have technology that we can install for speeding and those types of things. So, yeah, we absolutely need that call.
I'll be chatting with our staff now. Merci beaucoup.
Terrific. Any other questions for the superintendent? Go ahead, Councillor Legier.
Merci, Superintendant. Juste une question au sujet de la présentation qu'on a vue que Véronique nous a donnée. Et puis, est-ce que ça serait quelque chose, pensez-vous, que la GRC pourrait considérer au niveau de collaboration entre l'Université de Moncton, au niveau de recherche? Si c'est quelque chose qui, dans mon opinion, de ce que l'on voit, ça pourrait vous aider, ça pourrait réellement, même juste son commentaire qui dit que malgré que les gens pensaient qu'il y avait tellement de crimes au centre-ville que c'était pas nécessairement le cas, qu'il y avait des choses ailleurs. Puis ça, peut-être que ça revient à la perception. Il y a aussi les gens qui appellent pas. Vous faites beaucoup de bon travail avec vos analystes. Donc, est-ce que c'est quelque chose que vous seriez ouvert? Et puis, je pense, sans sans collaboration avec le public et la recherche comme ça, comment on fait pour améliorer notre communauté? Donc, est-ce que c'est quelque chose que vous voudriez considérer?
Oui, absolument. Il faut juste nous approcher, puis moi, il faudrait que je vérifie, voir quelles demandes ont été faites à travers de nous ou si c'était avec l'autorité policière. Donc, on peut vérifier ça. Mais j'ai trouvé ça intéressant, la présentation à Madame, à Véronique, juste au sujet quand elle parlait du centre-ville, parce que nous, on dirige nos ressources où les appels de services sont plus abondants. Et je peux vous garantir le conseil que, comme j'ai déjà mentionné, si on prendrait un protractor puis on ferait un cercle autour du centre-ville de Moncton, c'est là où il y a le plus grand nombre d'appels. Quel type d'appel? C'est varié selon les quartiers. Chaque quartier a leurs nuances, mais c'est exactement ça qu'on utilise avec nos analystes pour diriger nos patrouilles.
Oui, OK. Donc, comme ça, on va encourager l'université de vous approcher, puis vous donner des idées, puis peut-être qu'on peut réussir à avoir aussi un meilleur partenariat avec l'université, puis ça nous amène aussi à améliorer la qualité de vie à Moncton, mais aussi dans la région du Grand Moncton. Donc, merci.
Merci.
La mairesse adjointe, Thériault.
Merci, Madame la mairesse. Merci, surintendant, pour votre rapport. Justement, je suis d'accord avec mon collègue là-dessus et comme je l'ai mentionné à la représentante de l'université, comment est-ce qu'on peut travailler ensemble pour que les gens puissent cohabiter? Parce que souvent, c'est pas une question d'être attaqué, ils voient les gens, puis parce qu'ils sont habillés différemment, parce qu'ils se comportent différemment, ils ont peur. Donc, comment est-ce qu'on peut travailler avec vous et trouver un moyen pour communiquer au public et apprendre à cohabiter?
Il y a toutes sortes de manières. C'est des affaires qu'on fait tous les jours. Comment est-ce qu'on peut mieux faire notre travail et aussi comment est-ce qu'on peut mieux partager notre information. Ouais. Donc, on parlait, Conseil Légère a posé la question à Véronique au sujet d'un genre d'une plateforme où tous les crimes sont disponibles, par exemple. Certains corps policiers municipaux font ça. Nous, c'est encore sur le stade de l'évaluation parce que il faut penser aussi ce qu'on fait ici peut affecter tous les postes de la GRC à grandeur du Canada. Donc, les demandes ont déjà été faites à travers du quartier général. Mais, entre-temps, qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire mieux côté communication? C'est partager nos succès, mais aussi partager qu'est-ce qui se passe dans la communauté. Une des parties de notre plan stratégique qu'on va dévoiler dans les prochaines semaines, il y a une grosse partie, ce côté-là, la communication et comment est-ce qu'on peut mieux communiquer avec les gens, avec nos élus, mais surtout avec les résidents. Donc, j'ai hâte de partager ça dans les prochaines semaines à venir. Puis ça, c'est comme notre plan pour les 3 prochaines années aussi.
Mais je pense qu'il faut aussi revisiter tout le dossier de la sécurité publique. Donc, peut-être de faire les choses différemment. Donc, travailler en collaboration avec les universités, avec ceux qui ont les moyens, les outils pour faire la recherche, travailler avec nous, les municipalités. Donc, c'est une nouvelle manière peut-être de faire les choses, mais on n'aura pas de choix. C'est l'avenir. Donc, il faut apprendre à vivre ensemble. Donc,
absolument. Comme Madame, la dernière qui a parlé, la professeure universitaire sur la critique, elle a fait un bon point. On est une ville en pleine croissance. Puis moi, je vais être le premier à dire que on doit faire les affaires différemment. On doit penser à certaines affaires qu'on peut faire, être innovateur. Puis les citoyens doivent dire ce qu'ils veulent voir à travers de leur corps de police et ça doit être supporté par les élus ou le contraire. On va avoir des grosses décisions à faire.
Mais je pense que la grande question, c'est comment on va faire ça.
Oui.
Donc, de mettre en place les moyens pour qu'on puisse arriver à discuter avec les citoyens et les institutions avec qui on peut travailler. Donc, je sais pas, c'est peut-être au personnel de la ville, mais Monsieur le gérant, est-ce qu'on a quelque chose au niveau, à long terme, au niveau de la sécurité publique, pour qu'on puisse non seulement juste écouter notre surintendant lorsqu'il vient nous présenter les dossiers, mais avoir un processus en place qui nous permet de communiquer régulièrement, pas seulement lors de ces réunions, mais régulièrement avec les citoyens, que ça se fasse avec notre département des communications ou autre.
Merci, Madame la maire adjointe. Certainement, on attend avec un peu d'intérêt du plan stratégique de Kodiak, aussi avec le plan stratégique de CRPA, la commission. Alors, certainement, travailler avec les deux documents pour assurer qu'on augmente la communication, non seulement avec les résidents, mais assurer qu'ils sont au courant de ce qui se passe, absolument.
Et ça peut toucher notre plan stratégique, n'est-ce pas?
Toujours.
C'est beau. Merci. Merci.
Is there anyone who's not asked a question on this topic? I would go back to Councillor Legier for a final word.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just briefly, I know a while back there had been some preliminary work done on body-worn cameras, and the RCMP was looking at the rollout. So is there any update that you could share related to Kodiak Regional Police area in our area? And is there a timeline or what has happened with that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been I guess, a complicated file at the national level for the RCMP. The actual unit and the supplier now has been selected. The units have been ordered and they're starting to arrive. Specifically here in New Brunswick, they're going to be deployed in various locations. We haven't had our exact date when it's going to be sent here, but it's within the next year and hopefully sooner than later. The plan is that every member will be issued their own, and as soon as we have one, I'll report back to council and we'll be able to give more as soon as I have more information. However, myself and all my colleagues are looking forward to it just for so many different reasons, evidentiary reasons, and it's going to be a game changer for the type of interactions that we have with the public on both sides of the spectrum. So really excited to present to council when I do get those details, but it's been secured and it's coming.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Superintendent. I appreciate you being here, and thanks to
Thank
your
you.
team.
Merci.
The next presenter is Planning Matters, a question d'urbanisme. And the first up is introduction, rezoning, and municipal plan amendments for 224 Killam Drive. And I see Dylan coming to the podium. And I think our IT guru is fixing our webcam for those online.
Wonderful. Is everyone able to hear me? Yep. Great. So we have a new planning and development application before us today. Let's try to figure this over here.
Next slide, please.
Yeah, next slide, please.
Great.
All right. Yeah, so the application is by the Islamic Society of New Brunswick, which is a local nonprofit organization, and they are looking to construct a new mosque and community center on Killam Drive. From a planning perspective, there are two applications that require council approval. One is a rezoning application to rezone the property from industrial park to suburban commercial, as well as a municipal plan amendment to change the land use designation within our municipal plan. Sorry. So there's two applications that we have in order to accommodate the mosque and community center. Rezoning application, so we're looking to change the zone from industrial park to suburban commercial, but we're also looking to change the municipal plan land use designation from industrial to mixed use centers and corridor to accommodate the project. A slide. So the project is located within Ward 2, slide. So it's located in Ward 2 on Killam Drive, just generally between, we have the Moncton Coliseum to the west, and then we would have the Killam Drive, Collishaw roundabout and everything to the east. You can kind of see the sea and ball fields and everything there immediately to the south. Historically, this area, specifically south of Killam Drive and south of Collishaw Street all the way to Millennium, have been zoned and been occupied by a variety of different industrial uses. And the plan, and it's through our next, municipal plan review that the Planning Development Department is looking to, transition these areas into mixed use centers and corridors. So we'll be looking at identifying some of the major streets in the city of Moncton, where I'm talking about the McLaughlin, the Elmwoods, the Vaughan Harveys, Mountain Roads, Killam Drive of the world, and looking at transitioning those to mixed-use centers and corridors. What I mean by that is ideally you would have commercial on the main floor and residential above, where you have a bunch of amenities and services that are in close proximity to each other along some of our more frequent and accessible bus routes. So while this area remains zoned industrial today, this would be the first project that in the area that's kind of heading towards the direction of that vision. So here we have the site plan that was submitted by the applicants. A bit hard to see here, but the lot is approximately 1.25 acres in area, has 77 meters of frontage on Killam Drive, so it's a relatively large lot that we're dealing with. There are a number of encumbrances on the lot, such as a telecommunication easement on the left-hand side of the site that hosts a cell tower and everything today. That easement will need to be respected through this development. So the applicant has strategically located one of their driveway entrances along that easement, which will provide, yes, better access to the cell tower for the telecommunication company, but also makes better use of the developable footprint of their land. The mosque itself will be limited to 1 story in height and 850 square meters in gross floor area, which according to the National Building Code, that can accommodate up to 154 people in the building at any given time. So here we have simple elevation views of what the building is proposed to look like. The top image would be what you would see fronting Killam Drive itself. And as is required with most rezoning applications, a traffic impact study was submitted in support of this application and reviewed by the city's transportation engineer. The purpose of that study would have been to estimate the amount of traffic that would be generated by this development and then determine what impact, if any, it would have on the adjacent street networks. So overall, based on the results of that study, it was observed that the mosque will basically have no significant impacts on traffic operations within the study area. The peak period for the mosque was used, which would be Friday afternoons during their mid-afternoon prayer session. So Fridays are typically a sacred day for worship within the Muslim community, and this is when you would typically see the highest volumes of users accessing the site. So we use that as the threshold moving forward. And during this time on Friday, it's estimated that 214 new trips would be generated, and that's anywhere between 1 p.m. and 2 p.m. While that seems like a lot, there's no expected queuing to happen within the study area intersections, including the roundabout, because 1 to 2 p.m. isn't actually, while it's the peak period for the mosque, it's not the peak period for the traffic and everything that you'll see on Killam Drive. Normally that's going to happen closer to 4 or 5 when people are getting off work. And that roundabout is actually operating at 73% of the vehicles that I would normally see later on in the day. So there's no expected queuing or anything to happen. Another thing, so the traffic study also explored parking demand for this site. So based on the proposed plans, only 58 surface parking spaces are available. While that is enough to accommodate, any other prayer session that they have from, Saturday to Thursday, Fridays are considered, again, that sacred day where they're expected to see more users come to the mosque, and will likely need to use more parking that's available in the adjacent street area. And so to help facilitate the movement of people from, north of Killam, the city will be installing a rapid flash crosswalk at one of the driveway entrances, similar to the picture that's depicted here. And the applicant would be expected to contribute 50% of the cost for that crosswalk. And this will also benefit, other existing residents within the area who are looking to access those amenity spaces, the CN ball fields being one that are south of Killam Drive. If approved, these are the two changes that would be made. So we would be changing the zoning, like I mentioned, from industrial park to suburban commercial, and then the amendment on the right-hand side would be that municipal plan amendment going from industrial to mixed-use centers and corridors. Today, administration are recommending that Moncton City Council proceed with the proposed amendments by giving first reading to the zoning bylaw and municipal plan amendments, setting a public presentation for October 7th, referring the bylaws to the Planning Advisory Committee for its written views, which would happen on October 23rd, and then tentatively setting a public hearing for November 18th, 2024, and then we'll confirm that date during the public presentation. If approved, we are recommending 13 conditions that would be attached to this particular proposal, and they are listed here. And then in terms of next steps, like as I mentioned, we have the public presentation coming up next month, followed by the Planning Advisory Committee, and then we would come back for the public hearing on November 18th. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you, Dylan. Is there someone who wishes to move this? Thank you, Councillor Legier, seconded by Deputy Mayor. Any questions? Yes, go ahead, Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Worship. Just Dylan, so I realize it's Friday is their holy day, but have we, so are we talking with Parks and Rec? Because as you see in the back, right behind them, there's a lot of ball fields, and sometimes on Friday there's big tournaments and things like that. So I think that, to be good neighbors, maybe we should also keep Parks and Rec up to par of how that works for them.
Absolutely, yeah. So just to give a little bit of insight of our process and everything, with any application that I'm bringing before you guys, I make sure that it's going to be reviewed by Parks and Rec, by our engineers, by our finance, subdivisions, and so on. So we have a team that meets every Wednesday, and we dedicate 3 hours to looking at applications such as this before bringing it to council. And there was no concerns with the Parks and Recs department with this particular application.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Worship.
I see no other questions on the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Councillor Kingston, did you have a specific question? Sorry, I never saw your hand.
No, actually, no, we're fine. Sorry.
Oh,
Okay. The next item is again a planning item, and I believe Sarah Anderson's going to take this one. It's a subdivision, Camelot Cove, Unit 2.
Good afternoon, everyone. So this is a subdivision plan, a subdivision application from Advanced Hospitality, Inc. So just hit that. So the subject location is, the subject property is located in the eastern part of the city, and it is located in Ward 1. In terms of the site location, this is the Harrisville Boulevard area. It's between Warner Street on the left and Marriott Drive on the right. And the closest bus service is on Shediac Road, which is over 900 meters from this site. The current zoning of the subject land is primarily HC for highway commercial, although there is a small portion of R3, which is for multiple unit dwelling on the west side or to the left. So the purpose of the plan is to create 3 new building lots, to extend Warner Street, to create Grande Allée Avenue, to create land for public purposes, to create lot 24-3002 for stormwater detention purposes, and to create a 5-meter wide public utility easements along the proposed streets. So this is the the tentative plan. And as you can see, it shows Warner Street, which will be built to an urban local primary cross section. So that means it will have a right-of-way of 20 meters. A sidewalk will be built along the south side of the street, and a multi-purpose trail will be built along the north side of the street. Marriott Drive, which is currently already built to its full extent on the east. And right now, Marriott Drive has a sidewalk that's already located on the south side of the street. And then a multi-purpose trail will be installed along the north side of the street from that roundabout out to Harrisville Boulevard in the future. This plan also shows the section of Grande Allée Avenue, which is now being designated as a city right-of-way. This land was originally acquired through expropriation in 2017. The acquisition was part of a process to secure the land that was necessary for constructing the Grande Allée naturalized stormwater detention pond, which is to the north here. This parcel is now being converted to a city right-of-way to facilitate access to the remainder of the Grande Allée Avenue right-of-way. And then Grande Allée will be built to an urban local primary road cross-section as well. Warner Street, Marriott Drive, and Grande Allée Avenue will intersect at a modern roundabout, which is shown on the right-hand side, that sort of bubble at the end of where Warner Street will extend. The roundabout will facilitate a smoother, more consistent movement of vehicles as opposed to a traditional 3-way stop. So that this will help reduce frequency of stop and go conditions, and it'll improve the overall traffic efficiency. These proposed streets will all be treed as per the requirements of the subdivision guidelines. They will have streets every 10 meters along the lengths of them. And then as well, as I mentioned, the tentative subdivision plan will create 3 lots for development. So the developer is also donating 6,636 square meters of land towards LFPP, and that is the area that we see here in yellow. They are still required to provide an extra 2,361.71 square meters of land to meet the 10% requirement. The recommendation of the Recreation Department and the Planning and Development Department is that council require cash in lieu of land for public purposes for that required shortfall that we're not taking or we don't need in land. So in terms of the recommendation, the Planning Advisory Committee recommends that Moncton City Council assent to the extension of Warner Street public, assent to the location of Grande Allée Avenue public, assent to the location of land for public purposes, assent to the location of lot 24-3002 for stormwater detention purposes, and require cash in lieu of land for public purposes. There is one suggested or recommended condition, and that is that streets and services be designed and acceptable to the engineering department and then constructed in accordance with the subdivision development procedures, standards, and guidelines. And that is it.
Thank you, Sarah. Deputy Mayor Theriault, do you wish to move this recommendation? And seconded by Councillor Crossman. Go ahead, Councillor Crossman.
I don't know if I'm going to blow everybody's ear. No, we're good. Okay. Thanks, Sarah, for the presentation. I guess my question is going to come down to the public trail that we talked about and the right-of-way, that the land that is giving up for public purposes. So it's going to be a trail going all the way out to Shediac Road.
Yes.
So I'm going to look at engineering and I'm going to say, in the winter time, are we going to be clearing this trail to make sure that the people can get out to the bus stop on Shediac Road? Because there is nothing that comes through Camelot, as we know. And Warner Drive has been a hot topic within the neighborhood as far as development goes. So I'm glad to see that we're getting somewhere now with this. It's a great development, but I want to make sure that just because we're moving forward, or if council does move forward on this development, that we're able to give services to people that need to get from, I want to call it Route 15 almost, all the way up to Shediac Road, because Warner Drive goes down that far. So I don't know if you have any input on that. Maybe I see that there's cash in lieu of. I can't remember the amount of money. I know it's in the presentation. Sorry?
It's in the report.
Yeah, it's in the report. I know it's there. I can't remember. I know it's not a grand amount. It's not a big enough amount, but maybe that's something that we can have a discussion with on engineering to make sure that people can get out there. Because I know last week, or maybe a week and 2 weeks ago, I was in the ops center. We were talking about sidewalk improvement plan. So this is part of improving the plan for active transportation and to get friends, family, and seniors out to Shediac Road. So any input that you could offer me would be greatly appreciated. Thank you.
I might defer to Alexandre.
Thank you very much for the question. I imagine the subdivision will be a little bit before it's built, but when time comes, if council desires to see this maintained in the winter, it'd be possible to do so. If that'd be probably being a trail or parks department would like to take care of it. If they were given the resources to do it, that should be no problem.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I see no other questions. On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
The next is statements by members of councilors, exposé des membres du conseil.
Go ahead, Councillor Butler.
Thank you. We're taking, nobody else wants to, so I just got a couple of things. I just wanted to congratulate first the Moncton Mets for moving on. They beat Chatham Ironman last night 11-3. It wasn't really much of a baseball game, 11-3, but they did win, and they're going on to the finals against Charlottetown. Rah for the Mets. I was also glad to attend the 40th anniversary of St. Pope John Paul II. They had a mass on Saturday morning. It was attended by the Knights of Columbus and a large group of citizens. Today, I was pleased to join Councillor LeBlanc when we attended the Crossroads for Women's 2024 Annual General Meeting, which had a great turnout, and from their financial statements, they're doing great. So great applause for them for what they do, because it's a great thing. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you. I don't see anyone else. I think we can carry on. Thank you.
There are no reports and recommendations from committee in private. Il n'y a pas de rapport de recommandation des comités des réunions à huis clos. So next would be reports from administration et rapports de l'administration. We have one this evening. It's Provincial Municipal Highway Partnership Program 5-Year Plan 2027-2031. And the motion before council is the Moncton City Council adopts the document entitled the City of Moncton's 5-Year Plan for the Provincial Municipal Highway Partnership Program 2027-2031 and directs administration to include it in the City of Moncton's funding application to the New Brunswick Department of Transportation Infrastructure. And I see it in A's here if you have any questions.
Oh, excellent. Is there someone who wishes to move the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Legier. Seconded by Councillor Butler. And go ahead, Councillor Butler.
Yeah, Rennie is here. Thank you. When we look at this up to 2030, is there nothing in here in regards to, or is there another plan coming out regards to the north end, regards to the traffic study that we talked about, exits off of Wheeler Boulevard, and also some more work regards around Hildegard, but is there something else that's going to come out here? Or?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship, through the Councillor Butler. Worth noting that this program here is focused on resurfacing and microsurfacing, so more like on the renewal side, and that DTI has another program when it comes to major projects such as new interchanges or improvements to interchange. Again, this is more related to a resurfacing or microsurfacing program.
So would we be putting that in this year for the north end in our budget or towards the province regards to the exits and
That's a discussion that we can have at the Capital Works, the Capital Works budget stage. Right now, we would have to do a bit more design and a bit more discussions with the impacts it has and bringing NBDTI to the table, which we have. But
They have done a study, haven't they?
Sorry?
Haven't they already done a study or paid for a study to be done?
Well, we did a study for the North End Transportation Master Plan, yes. Yeah, and we brought it to council in a private matter, in a private setting.
Yeah, oh, sorry, yeah. All right, thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bourgeois.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la maire. Je veux juste savoir, quels sont les critères que le personnel utilise pour décider quelle partie de quelle rue sera soumis à la province? Est-ce que ça doit être ça me paraît pas être juste des chemins provinciaux ou est-ce que je me trompe?
Oui, merci pour la question, conseiller Bourgeois. Ce programme ici, c'est un programme en partenariat avec la province. Donc, on parle des autoroutes désignées provinciales, en anglais, les Designated Highways. Donc, on parle spécifiquement de ces routes-là, pour en nommer quelques-unes, Shediac Road, Salisbury Road, des sections de Mountain Road et aussi Elmwood Drive. Donc, on ne parle pas de routes locales, mais plutôt des routes avec propriété partagée avec la province. Donc, c'est spécialement sur ces routes-là qui est surtout des artérielles. Puis quand ça vient à la sélection, on utilise beaucoup notre critère d'indice de condition. Donc, en anglais, un PCI, Pavement Condition Index. Quoique je devrais souligner que c'est la première fois que la province nous demande de projeter aussi loin que ça, soit de l'année 2027 à l'année 2031. Donc, c'est quand même un défi à savoir projeter dans ces années-là, tandis que traditionnellement, on nous demandait seulement pour l'année subséquente.
OK. Merci beaucoup. Merci, Madame la maire.
Merci. Il y a aucune autre question? No? On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
The next up are reading of bylaws, les lectures des arrêtés municipaux and both bylaws that are before council this evening. You've already given me permission to give first reading. A bylaw and amendment of a bylaw relating to the adoption of the City of Moncton's municipal plan being bylaw Z 122.11-224 Killam Drive. This is the first reading and it was subject to item 7.1. Arrêté portant modification de l'arrêté concernant l'adoption du plan municipal de la ville de Moncton sur l'arrêté Z122.11-224 Promenade Killam Drive. C'est la première lecture. A bylaw and amendment of the City of Moncton zoning bylaw being bylaw Z 222.40 rezoning at 224 Killam Drive. It's the first reading. And arrêté portant modification de zonage de l'arrêté de zonage de la ville de Moncton sur l'arrêté Z 222.40 rezonage au 224 Promenade Killam. C'est la première lecture. Next are notice of motions and resolution, les avis de motion et résolution. And the first up is the New Brunswick Municipal Finance Corp application for financing. You will find that in your package. We would need a mover and a seconder.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Legier. Is there a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Kingston. Any questions? On the question, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Next is a notice of motion being brought forth by Councillor Sean Crosman and Councillor Danielle Bourgeois on the Bridge to Home hub at 473 St. George Street. I would ask Councillor Crosman to read that into the record if possible.
Thank you, Your Worship. To the City Clerk, I'm going to make one word change at the end of my motion, just so you know. So I will point it out. Notice of motion, the Bridge to Home hub at 473 St. George Street. Whereas public safety must be priority number one for the community. Whereas residents and business owners in proximity to 473 St. George Street deserve to feel safe as a bare minimum and should not be put in harm's way. Whereas open-air drug use, street disorder, and crime have become unfortunately a normality throughout the city, but in particular the neighborhood in proximity to 473 St. George Street. Therefore, transforming the community's initial compassion to frustration, fear, and even occasional anger. Whereas mental health addiction, and housing are the province of New Brunswick's responsibilities, there has been an increase in crime within the area since the Bridge to Home hub was established at 473 St. George Street. Whereas citizens living in the area question if support services are being offered at, quote, Bridge to Home hub, as there is a lack of communication. I will make the note change here. Be it therefore resolved that Moncton City Council, as soon as possible, terminate the lease agreement entered into with the province of New Brunswick for the operation of the Bridge to Home hub at the facility of 473 St. George Street and return the building back to its initial function as a community center. So moved.
Thank you. And I understand that Councillor Bourgeois has seconded that.
Yes.
Thank you.
This will be brought back to council at the next council.
October 7th.
Right, correct.
Okay, and 12.3 is a resolution that was not added to your package. However, it is before you. It's regarding having public hearing and rezoning matters heard in another location. Whereas its regular public meeting of September 3rd, 2024, City Council for the City of Moncton resolved that a public hearing on zoning bylaw amendment Z 222.38 1113 Lafergie Avenue rezoning file be set for October 7th, 2024 at 4 p.m. in council chambers at City Hall. And whereas at its regular public meeting of September 3rd, City Council for the City of Moncton resolved that a public hearing on municipal plan amendment Z 122.10 Downtown Core Community Improvement Plan Bylaw Amendment Z 122D.1 and Zoning Bylaw Amendment Z 222.37 Gateway Towers Assumption Boulevard file be set for October 7th, 2024. And whereas at its regular public meeting of August 19th, 2024, City Council for the City of Moncton resolved a public hearing on Stop Up and Close Bylaw Amendment T221.6, portion of Foundry Street affected by Gateway Towers be set for October 7th, 2024. And whereas due to ongoing renovations to City Council chambers in City Hall, the regular public meeting of Moncton City Council of October 7th, 2024 has been moved to the Avenir Center. And now therefore it be resolved that City Council for the City of Moncton will hear objections to the above noted proposed bylaws at its regular public meeting of October 7th, 2024 in the Lounsbury Lounge of the Avenir Center at 4 p.m.
Is there someone who wishes to move this? Thank you, Councillor Legier, seconded by Councillor Butler. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, I believe you have some appointments.
Yes,
Your
we're
worship.
now at the nominations part of tonight's agenda, and we will be considering the Municipal Plan Review Committee. Council will note that there are 14 names for consideration tonight, and Council is free to accept all of them or decline to accept any of them that they feel would not be suitable for this committee. We will be going through each name one by one and voting on each nomination individually. All that is required is a simple yay or nay vote, not a debate on the merits of each candidate. So with that,
I have two
I will,
points of order, if I may.
sorry, Councillor, who is this?
Councillor Bourgeois.
Go ahead.
Thank you. The first point of order is to replace the chair. The deputy mayor would step in instead of the mayor to preside this item.
Why would that be?
Because of your demonstrated bias during the not last public meeting, I think the one beforehand, when we first decided on this, the mayor declared that the decision of council was quote unquote unfortunate. That demonstrates a bias. I don't think this motion is debatable, by the way.
So I'd like a point of order by our solicitor on that. Can a counselor just demand that the chair leaves?
Your worship, it's on. It's on. I'd have to consult our procedural bylaw, Robert's rules. I don't have that answer in front of me, so we could take a brief break if we want to discuss that.
I'd like to take a brief break then. Thanks.
Welcome to the borders.
No, I'm deciding on it. Trying to make a point. See that?
Mic check. Thank you.
Mic's working, everyone. Mics are working.
Yes, Councillor Kingston, loud and clear. We're just taking a brief break right at the moment, so there is nothing to be heard here right now.
Really false by my borders. That's 3 years after my best case. And it's not fun. It's all in the head. The rest of the year, I go to sell all the well. I'm so worth of that. I'm there's that what I'm doing. I know.
All right, we will reconvene now. Oh, we'll maybe wait till Councillor LeBlanc gets back. All right. So, Mr. Solicitor, do you want to take this or? Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. So we've consulted with our procedural bylaw, which is silent on the matter, but we've also consulted Robert's rules, and this motion would require a simple majority vote of council in order to pass, to have the chair replaced with the deputy.
So on that question then, can I propose the question then? On the question of replacing the chair, with, I guess, the deputy mayor, the mayor would still, I would still be voting, correct? But it would bring the deputy mayor into the chair. We need a majority. All those in favor, excuse me, a seconder for that motion. So there is no seconder for the motion to replace the chair? Okay, well then I guess it fails. All right then.
All right, my second point of order, if I may.
Go ahead, Councillor Bourgeois.
Yep, I would prefer that we vote on all the nominees together in one shot. So I will make that motion.
Is there a seconder for that motion? I do not see one.
Thank you for your consideration.
Sorry?
I said thank you for your consideration.
You're welcome. For the public representatives, we have Craig Fearon. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Jack McDonald. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Angela Smith. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Matthew Wade. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Vincent Roussel. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Michael Hogan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Kate Doyle. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Could the nays please hold? We have Councillor Butler, Councillor Richard, Councillor Steves, Councillor Crossman, and Councillor Bourgeois. I believe the motion fails. So that's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, sorry, it passes. Kate is on the committee. We only have 10 members, so it does fail. So, okay. Sorry, I was thinking we had 11 tonight. So the motion fails. For the Planning Advisory Committee meeting, or for the Planning Advisory representatives, Maxime Gauvin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 1 nay vote, Councillor Crossman. Roxanne Richard. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Dale McCurlin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Miles Malley. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? For City Council representatives, Councillor Susan Edgett. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
1 nay vote, Councillor Bourgeois. Councillor Brian Butler. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And Mayor Don Arnold. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
1 nay vote, Councillor Bourgeois. So the tally would be that 13 of the 14 names will be going forward and will be serving on the Municipal Plan Committee, Review Committee. Order, please. So our next committee is the Appeal Committee on Dangerous and Unsightly Premises. And to be reappointed are Julie LeBlanc-Hultberg and Darren Bloy. And new candidates, Simon Pierre Godbout and Virginia Gilmore. Moved by Councillor Crossman.
Good job, guys.
Is there a
Come on,
yeah,
we are ashamed of you. We are ashamed of you.
Is there a seconder for this? Moved by Councillor Crossman, seconded by Councillor Richard. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. I believe that concludes today's agenda. Not at this time. I would take a motion to, I was going to say resign, but I do believe that it, thank you.